Hello, everybody. I and my buddies, Joe English, are sending our regards. And today we would like to do some ACT test answering with you. So, without further ado, let's share the PDF. Okay. All right. So, in that first passage entitled The Music of the Odom, for some people, traditional American Indian music is associated and connected with high penetrating vocals. Associated and connected. So, connected or associated are the same meaning. So, the best choice would be D, associated, because wordiness, as you know, is not appreciated on the ACT or SAT tests. All right, let's move to number two. Among the Odom tribes of Arizona, Wayla has been popular for more than a century. Okay, so has been popular or has been common. Uh, yeah, that makes sense. If we look at the other uh, choices, popular, comma, on one might say four, and then really quite popular. So the four choices include the word popular or popular for. However, popular for is the shortest answer and it makes sense. And as you know, always opt for the shortest answer if it makes sense. So the best answer is F. Let's now move to question number three. The music is mainly instrumental dash. The bands generally consist of guitar, bass guitar, saxophones, accordion, and drums. Okay, so the question here, which of the following alternative is not acceptable or would not be acceptable? Be careful to read the prompt because sometimes in the prompt he doesn't want the acceptable answer, rather he wants the unacceptable answer. So here, what is the unacceptable answer? If we use the dash, it's acceptable. If we use, uh, you know, the semicolon is acceptable. If we use a full stop, is acceptable. So the one that is not acceptable would be using a comma. So because here we have two ICs. The music is mainly instrumental. That is an IC, independent clause, complete sentence. And then the other one, the bands generally consist of blah, 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 is another IC or independent clause. We cannot just join them using a comma, as in B. Uh, Only we are allowed to do that if we use one of the fanboys with the comma, such as and, for, but, or, and so on. Without the fanboys, we cannot join two ICs with a comma. So B is not acceptable. So this is the correct answer here. Okay, moving on to number four. Yes, it is a social, sorry, it is a social music that performed at weddings, birthdays. Okay, no change, no, because something is missing here. We can't say that performed. Okay, if he says that is performed, then it is correct. But the way it is now, it is not correct. So no change is wrong. Music in which it is performed, music performing, and music performed at weddings. So J is the best answer. Here he used the past participle as an adjective. So what kind of music performed at weddings, blah, blah, blah. So J is the best answer. Now moving on to number five, okay. The word itself comes from the Spanish word for dance, baile. That makes sense. But let's have a look at the other ones. Word, comma, itself, comma, word, blah, 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 etc. So again, another tactic we can use on the ACT. If we have more than one answer, uh, all having punctuation and one choice without any punctuation and it makes sense, then opt for the one without punctuation. So here, number 5A, no change is the best answer. Okay, let's move on to another uh, question, number 6. Yes, word dance called Bailey. Cheek to cheek, the dance is performed to the relaxed two-step tempo. All right, no change. Couples dance cheek to cheek. H, a relaxed two-step tempo is the couples dance cheek to cheek, the two-step tempo relaxed. So we need to understand who dances cheek to cheek. They are the couples. So the best choice here is to say couples dance cheek to cheek. So we mention the subject first and then the verb and then the rest of the sentence. So G is the best answer. If we move to number 7, he says, and the bands often play long past midnight. Nothing wrong with that. Play long past midnight. This means the performance continues till after 12 a.m. So it makes sense here. And as we said, if we look at the other choices, he uses commas here and there, and it is not needed. So no change. A is the best answer. Yeah, if we read it one more time, the bands often play long past midnight. That makes sense. It sounds natural, so it is the correct answer. A. Moving on to question number 8. As the dancers step to the music, they were also stepping in time to a sound that embodies their unique history. So no change, okay, are also stepping, okay, have also stepped, and while will also step. So I think G are also stepping would be a better answer because if we look at the beginning of the sentence as the dancers step, this is present simple. So we cannot use after that were stepping in the past uh, uh, continuous or past progressive. If we use if we choose G and use are stepping present progressive or present continuous, that would be correct because one of the uses of the present progressive or present continuous is for description. And we're talking about the present here because the uh, beginning of the sentence, he says, as the dancers step. So the best choice is to choose G. Okay, let's move on to question number 9. And here, question number 9 says, to a sound that embodies their unique history. He's talking about the dancers. So there is referring back to the dancers. It's a pronoun antecedent reference. That makes sense. So no change is the best answer. They are no, it's or it's no. He's talking about the dancers. So uh, the best choice is A. Let's now move to question number 10. At this point, the writer is considering adding the following true statement. The agricultural practices of the Odom are similar to those of the Maya. Okay, so he's stressing the similarity between the Odom and the Maya when it comes to agricultural practices. Should the writer make this addition here? Yes, because the sentence establishes the Odom often brought ideas. Yes, because of the sentence provides important information about the Odom people. No, because the sentence is not supported by evidence of connecting between Odom and Maya. No, because the sentence distracts from the paragraph's focus, Whalers' uses and influences. I think J is the best answer because in the paragraph he's talking about the Whaler and talking about the music and how the couples dance cheek to cheek and stuff like that. If he, at the end of this paragraph, talks about something else, how similar or dissimilar they were to other tribes, this would not fit into the general meaning of the paragraph. Remember that in good writing, we start the paragraph with what we call the topic sentence or the main idea of that paragraph. And even if we discuss sub ideas or things inside or ideas inside the paragraph, they should be connected with the main idea of that paragraph. Okay? So in the paragraph, he's talking about the music, he's talking about the dancing and blah, blah, blah. He's not talking about agriculture here. So it's not a good place to put that statement. Moving on to number 11. Okay. The odom in the 1700s first encountered the guitars of Spanish missionaries. All right, all of the following would be acceptable placements for the underlying portion in the 1700s, except. So we can use that in where is it acceptable, except. So give me the place where it would not be acceptable to say in 1700s. Okay, so remember the prompt wants you to find a place where it is not acceptable. So that's important to understand what the prompt is asking you. So where it is now, we know where it is now makes sense. Okay, yes. At the beginning of the sentence, revising capitalization, so we can start saying in the 1700s. Sorry, in the 1700s, first the odom first encountered blah blah blah. Yes, because it's a preposition and a noun that is a prepositional phrase. We can use it at the start of the sentence, would be no problem. After the word guitars, if we say the odom first encountered the guitars in 1700s, no. Yeah, we cannot say that. And that because this would not be the end of the sentence, because he says the guitars of Spanish. So that would separate between guitar and then of Spanish. Okay, so that is not going to be acceptable. But if we say that after missionaries, that would be acceptable as well. If the sentence ends with guitars and he does not specify guitars of Spanish missionaries, then it could be acceptable to put it after guitars. But he is saying guitars of who? Guitars of Spanish missionaries. So we cannot just separate between guitars and of here. Okay? Yes. So this is the only place where it is not acceptable. So C is the best answer. Moving on to 12, the odom have borrowed from the waltz, the mazurkas of people of European descent on their way to California. No change. He's talking about what? If we read the beginning of the paragraph, the odom in the 1700s first encountered, he's talking in the past here, and then he talks that in 1850s, the odom have borrowed. We know that we use the present perfect when something that happened very close to the present time. And here he is talking about way, way back in 1850s. So choosing the present perfect here is not a good choice. The best way to do it is to use just the best J. So if we want to express that something happened and finished in the past, we don't know where or when exactly, or if we know that here, like the year is written, it is better to use it in the past simple, not in the present perfect. Present perfect is only used when something happened very close to the present time. When you're saying, for example, I have just finished my homework, or I have done the assignment. This means could be 10 minutes ago or something. But here we're talking about 1850s, like hundreds of years back. So in this case, we use the past simple much better. And using the present perfect would be wrong here. All right, so moving on to number 13. In the early 1900s, the odom became acquainted with marching bands and woodwind instruments, which explains the presence of saxophones in Wayla. That makes perfect sense to me. Given that all the choices are true, which one is most relevant to the focus of the paragraph? Okay, no change. Although fiddles were once widely used in Wayla bands, even though they are now often constructed of metal, which are frequently found in jazz bands only. I think no change would be the most relevant to the focus of the paragraph, the presence of the saxophones in Wayla. Okay? Yeah. Around this time, the polka music and button accordion played by German immigrant railroad workers left their mark on Wayla. So he's talking about saxophones, and he says that, which explains the presence of saxophones. Okay? So that's related to the marching bands and woodwind instruments. So in 13, that A would be the best answer. No change. So let's move on to 14 now. Yes. Yeah. Music and button accordion played by German immigrant railroad workers, semicolon, left their mark on Wayland. Why should we use a semicolon here? The rest of the left there mark on Wayla, that would be not a complete sentence, so there's no need to use a semicolon. No change is wrong. If we just use workers without any punctuation, and let's read around from the beginning of the sentence. Around this time, the polka music and button accordion played by German immigrant railroad workers left there. So the whole thing is the subject from around till workers, and then left their mark on Wayla is the subject, is the verb, and then the complement of the sentence. So that's one long sentence. So we don't need any punctuation or anything to separate the subject and the verb. So G is the correct answer. G is the correct answer simply because we should not separate the subject and verb in one sentence using a comma or semicolon or anything like that. All right, let's move on to number 15. Yeah. Upon reviewing this essay and finding that some information has been left out, the writer composes the following sentence incorporating that information. Those same German influences helped spawn a similar musical form in northern Mexico known as nortino or norteño. Okay, this sentence would most logically be placed after the last sentence in paragraph. Which paragraph? One, two, three, or four? Let's. In this case, you need to very quickly go to each paragraph and read the best one. He's talking about the influence, similar influence form in northern Mexico. Okay. In paragraph 2, there's no talk about Mexico at all. In paragraph 1, talking about tribes of Arizona have been popular for more than a century, mainly instrumental. Uh, he's not also talking about Mexico. He just says the word itself comes from Spanish, okay? But there's no talk about Mexico or Mexican anything here. In the third paragraph, the odom first encountered the guitars of the Spanish missionaries, have borrowed the waltz of people of European descent on their way to California. So he's talking about different things they borrowed from other places. And then he talks about the German immigrant railroad workers left their mark on the whaler. So I think this paragraph at the end, when he talks that they also borrowed this from Mexico, that would make sense because in that paragraph 3, uh, he talks about different influences from different places, and including, for example, the German immigrant railroad workers have how they left their mark on the whale as well. So right after the last paragraph, the last sentence of this paragraph, if we talk about other influences from Mexico, that would make sense. So I think the best answer is C. So we should put it at the end of paragraph 3. The other paragraphs, the focus was different. So I think would be the best choice is C here. Okay, thank you very much. And as I said, when we set for an ACT test, we should take certain things into consideration. Focus on the question, don't waste time. If you have a question that requires more time than you expect, leave it and come to it later. If you don't have time, just make your choice based on your either gut feeling or do what we say, the process of elimination. Just eliminate the options that you are sure are wrong. Then you are left with maybe a couple choices. You will have to choose one of them. Don't leave any question without being answered. And the best thing to do, as we say, is whatever happens, don't panic. Whatever happens, stay calm, because staying calm and focusing is the best way to get a good score on any standardized test. Okay, good luck, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.